I'm sure that many of you have used GitHub before. It's pretty much the #1 platform for storing, sharing, and collaborating on software projects with other people, which is why Microsoft bought GitHub back in 2018 for $7.5 billion. And GitHub, being a Microsoft property now, fits perfectly with this major privacy issue on the platform where anyone can access deleted and privated data from any other repository on GitHub. Truffle Security, who wrote up a blog post about this phenomenon, also recorded 2 short videos demonstrating the issue, which we'll watch together right now, and I'll explain what's going on for the less tech-savvy folks. Okay, so right here in the beginning, he's forking the OpenAI cookbook repository, which means he's essentially copying the code over to a repo that he controls so that he can make his own modifications to it. And if we look at the README for this OpenAI repo, we can see that it's described as example code and guides for accomplishing common tasks with the OpenAI API. And to run these examples, you're going to need an OpenAI account and an API key. That API key gets saved into an environment variable within your program so that it's able to query GPT-4 or some other OpenAI model, and then you're on your way to creating the next billion-dollar AI project. This API key is sensitive data, so you wouldn't want anybody getting access to it. And we can see on OpenAI's website that the price for an API key starts at $5 per 1 million input tokens. If your API key leaks, then someone can waste all of those tokens that you paid for on drawing waifus or asking ChatGPT inane questions. And even if you use the free API tier that OpenAPI references in their cookbook repo, that API key is still tied to your OpenAI account. So if it leaks and someone uses your key to try and make ChatGPT do a racism or draw some deepfake porn or anything else that's against their terms of service, then your account and API key will get banned, and your prospects of building your billion-dollar AI project will be dashed against the rocks. Let's continue the video to see how this data can actually get stolen. So here we're in the fork that Joel created, and he's creating a new file called secrets.py. So instead of an open API key going in here, this file might contain something like the Django secret key if your billion-dollar AI project just ends up being a Django program that lets people talk to like an AI girlfriend or something like that, which is much more plausible and profitable than you might think. But anyway, this Django secret key is used for signing session cookies, and if it fell into the wrong hands, a hacker could hijack your user session, read their chats, steal their passwords, and all other kinds of nasty stuff. So let's say that you mistakenly put your Django secret key in this file, you commit the file to the repo on GitHub, and then maybe your tech lead sees it immediately and says, "Holy crap, dude, what kind of crack are you smoking? You just committed a production secret to GitHub. Delete the file before I delete your job here. Better yet, delete the whole fucking repo and just fork it again." So you delete the repo. But if someone has that commit hash from when you accidentally published your secrets to GitHub, then they can go back to the original repo that you forked from, paste in that commit hash, and then access the secret data long after you had your exit interview with HR and your tech lead. The method for accessing commits from private repositories is also very similar. Here we see that he creates a repo called new tool that is supposed to be private. You can see he selected the private option, and then he forks this private new tool repo to make a new repo called internal new tool, which is also private, and as the name and description implies, it's only meant to be used internally. Then he creates this feature.py file, which is also meant to be private since it's part of the private internal repo. Then he goes back to the original new tool repo, makes it public, so now this part of the code is open source, just like the OpenAI cookbook. And now if you copy the commit hash from the private internal repo and paste it after the public new tool repo, you're able to access the sensitive data for that commit from the internal repository. Now, the worst thing about this GitHub bug is that according to GitHub, it's not even a bug, it's a feature. People have been reporting this feature problem to GitHub's HackerOne program for years now to try and collect a bug bounty and, of course, get GitHub to fix this feature. But GitHub always says that things are working as intended. So I assume that GitHub's whole opinion about this issue is probably really similar to some of the other people online that are calling this a big nothing burger because, well, to access the secret code or the deleted code, you need the commit hash, which is this long string that would be about as difficult to guess as most secret strings and API keys and other sensitive data like that in the first place. But seasoned hackers are not going to try and brute force something like this. A much more clever approach would be to download an archive of commits made from gharchive.org and then parse that data that's in that JSON file for all of the commits that were made by your target user and or your target user's target repos, and then go through those commit hashes to find the juicy secrets that you're looking for. And even if the attacker doesn't want to parse JSON files from gharchive for some reason, they could still access these private or deleted commits without actually guessing the full hash of the commit. You see, the Git protocol permits the use of short SHA-1 values whenever you're referencing a commit. And these short values are the minimum set of characters that are needed to avoid a collision with another hash value. And the shortened values can be as small as 4 hexadecimal characters, which means an attacker would only need to iterate through 16 to the power of 4 possibilities to find those secret commits. Now, there are a number of ways to avoid this design flaw from resulting in the takedown of your entire cloud infrastructure. The best thing to do is practice proper triage before committing any code in the first place so that you can make sure API keys and cryptographic secrets are never actually getting to GitHub servers. This is another example of the fact that whenever you put something on the internet, you can never really delete it or you can never really be sure that it's gone. And another solution, since this feature is part of the whole forking of repos, is to just copy the repos instead of forking them so that your commit hashes are not going to have any connection to the original repositories. And another option is to just host your own version control system instead of using GitHub. I'd especially recommend this for any controversial software projects and just a lot of AI projects in general, since politicians are trying to pass regulations left and right for AI, which could result in the unexpected deletion of your repo from GitHub at any time. So make sure you're being careful when developing your open source software. Give this video a like and share it with your developer buddies. And